so let me read some things from the Affiliate Summit. Welcome. We appreciate your time and effort, so thanks for being here. We value and rely on attendee feedback to continually improve the quality of the conference. Please take the time to remind all of you, I guess this is for me. I probably should have read this before I got up here. I am supposed to take the time to remind you that there is a network app, and we would appreciate the feedback through that app. You can log in to the schedule and fill out the poll. There will also be a paper form that you can fill out as well. Each day there's 5 entries. Will be randomly drawn to receive a Networking Plus Pass for Affiliate Summit. Okay, and that's it. The rest there is for me. So thank you all for joining. I want to thank my panel members here for joining. I feel blessed to be able to call. You guys heed the call and are here. Thank you for spending the time before this event to prep, and also for making it here. And Scott, thank you for traveling all the way from Australia yesterday to be here. We'll try to keep the questions light for you.
Thank you.
But we have a great panel. I think probably the best panel I could have put together to talk about any subject in our industry. Representatives from some of the most exciting networks here, and individuals who drive a lot of the innovation and change in our space. So we have Ernie from LinkConnector. And most of these people do not need introductions, but I will go through for those keeping score at home. Ernie from LinkConnector, Brian, ShareASale, Todd, Impact Radius, Michael from Pepperjam, and Scott from AvantLink. We do have a lineup change. Chad Waite is at home, taking care of his wife who just had her appendix taken out, so we hope she's recovering nicely. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you all for attending. The reason I wanted to talk and put a panel together to talk about this topic is it's something I've been talking about for quite a while. The need to be sure the sales that we're getting through the channel are legitimate. And it's for me, it started when I started in the space in '99 and carried through when I worked at Coldwater Creek. Where the evolution of the channel and the view of the channel took several different steps. First, I have no idea what this is, but there's sales coming through. I love it. Let's pour more money into it. This is growing. Now let's make sure that it's cost effective. Now we know a little bit about what this is, and I'm just concerned: are we getting the right? Are we getting the right profit? Are these sales we would have gotten before? And then to what maybe many of you have felt, and I'll ask the panel here too, of advertisers really questioning the validity of the sales coming through the channel. So over that time, we've seen this increased scrutiny of the affiliate channel as advertisers are searching more and more for incrementality as competition continues to increase. That need to get profitable sales that they feel they wouldn't have gotten without a particular channel's involvement has increased that need to figure that out. So I'm really excited about the channel because we have some great technology that can help answer this question of incrementality and new customer acquisition. So for the entire panel, anyone can answer this. Do you feel that this is a substantial threat to the channel, and how so?
Hello?
Go ahead, Brian.
Sure, I'll jump in. I don't necessarily think of it as a threat at all. I think of it as a way to make sure that you're getting what you wanted. I mean, the original promise of affiliate marketing, as I remember it, was to try to drive new customers, drive new business, and that's still very much the promise and very much the reality in the channel. You just have to make sure that you've got some of the tools and the technology available to make it happen. But I don't see it necessarily as a threat, more of an opportunity for all of us to build technology that's needed by the retailers that are out there.
Yeah, that's, I think, well put. I certainly do not see it as a threat. I think it's an opportunity. I like that use of the word, opportunity. Affiliate marketing, having been in the industry as long as all of us have, it's certainly, I think, still to this day, the most misunderstood of the mainstream channels. And until the technology and tools are updated in the way they finally are being updated here in 2017, there's been a bit of a black box around it. That's what creates the risk. It's the not knowing. It's the opportunity for the first time here in 2017 and beyond for incrementality to be proved out by the advertisers on the platforms that gives us the opportunity to really validate the ROI inherent in the affiliate marketing channel. So huge opportunity, I think, finally here in 2017 for affiliate marketing.
I just want to add, I think there is some risk in the sense that I think sometimes people are getting the cart in front of the horse. They want to solve problems that they maybe don't really have, or they don't have the data to support that they have. They just hear us or somebody talk about problems that affect the industry, and then they get concerned that maybe they have that problem. They don't know the extent of it. So to me, I think the biggest risk is lack of data and not being able to understand, do I have a problem? Do I have something I should be worried about? What is incremental to my business versus my competitors or somebody I saw on a panel? Being able to contextualize that to your own KPIs and goals internally as a team, so that you can then decide how best to solve the problems. A lot of times we build solutions that we're very proud of, and they're really shiny and they attract your attention, but they're not applicable to your business if you look at the data. So I think that's probably the biggest risk out there. We're going to talk about it more, but.
So, Michael and Todd, you both kind of alluded to, Michael, you said misunderstood. Todd, you talked about that maybe they see a rumor, or they hear someone else's concerned about something, and then all of a sudden they're concerned about it. Why do you think this channel has that? I've worked in paid search, I've worked in email, and that doesn't seem to be there. But in affiliates it is. Why do you think?
Well, I mean, affiliate marketing is unique. It's unique in that it represents the opportunity as it relates to an advertiser or a merchant for their other channels to be cannibalized. I mean, ultimately, you are dealing with marketers or website owners, bloggers, but they're ultimately going to market their sites utilizing the same techniques that you are as a corporation, as an organization. And that presents in it inherently a series of challenges and risks that you don't find in something like a pure search channel. So understanding that risk is out there requires different tools, whether it's the use of attribution tools or the use of compliance technology, and hopefully really the convergence of both of those to get ultimately to what Todd mentioned there, which is the correct data to make intelligent decisions moving forward. Those sort of unique properties of affiliate marketing have created, I think, a weariness around advertisers and their challenges with ultimately these cannibalization issues. It's created a situation where I think not enough attention has been applied to the channel over the last 10 years, and it's created that black box. And in that lack of knowing, that lack of data, there's been assumptions made about incrementality. And I think that is something that finally we're shining a light on here today. Yeah.
Anyone else? So, Todd, there seems to be two schools of thought from technology providers. Provide the information managers and advertisers need to make better decisions, or provide technology that allows them to create logic to reward different types of activities and what they're looking for. Where does your network fall, and why do you think that's the right method?
Okay, but I'm not a network. We're tracking a platform. Anyway. But it's okay. Everybody wants to call us a network. That's
I owe you
fine.
a drink.
I always have to correct people. I think, look, we have, when you look at just commissioning capabilities, 6 ways to Sunday to set up commissioning structures and to pay for what you value and pay more for what you value and less for what you don't value. But again, you can't go into these things blindly without the data. So if you're only building cool tools and you don't have the data to give people the insights they need to understand what if there's a problem, or what is incremental, what isn't, and how should I structure things, you're never going to get there. So we're big advocates of data. You know, and it is one thing for me to build, 50 reports that you can run whichever ones you want, but to give you the flexibility to really tailor the reports to exactly what you want, to build your own reports, and to be able to see data beyond the affiliate channel. A lot of people are trying to determine the value of affiliates, and the system they're using only shows them the winning affiliate. They don't even know that there was another affiliate involved, or if they do, they don't know the other channels that might have been involved as well. And so when you have such a narrow view of the affiliate channel, it's very hard to understand it, because you need to see it in context of the whole ecosystem, the whole marketing system, all of your channels. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge for most marketers out there, most affiliate managers, is that if you don't have that view, you're kind of using a best guess, and then when you go to test and look at the data, you may not get the answer. You may think you have the answer, but you still only have a little subset of data. So we really look at providing the data, providing the tools.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ernie, please.
I was going to mention that I don't think it's an either-or to your question. Early on, we developed mostly tools that were reporting type tools, and then lately we've been kind of looking at the other side of the equation. How do I better reward, or better understand how to reward? And of course, we deal with merchants that have all kinds of different goals. So we've got to provide tools that are pretty flexible. And they don't always go with the recommendations of our managers to decide how to implement those tools. So there's a lot of data involved, a lot of technology involved to give them the ability to reward affiliates most appropriately based upon the affiliate channel and then other channels that they deal with.
Awesome. Scott, did you have something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so for AvantLink, I do agree with Todd on the data portion. We're really big on reporting and providing that data and the transparency on what's happening on the consumer's path to purchase and showing the click stream in our reporting. That being said, at least at our network, we really see a somewhat of a content orientation renaissance, if you will. And so merchants are wanting more and more to work with content sites. And so, of course, it doesn't happen every time, but we do see significant times where content sites are overwritten in the process on a last-click model. And that's where we struggle when a network like AvantLink that has 65% of its affiliate makeup is content-oriented sites. It's very important to our base of affiliates to take care of them. And so one of the ways that we've done that is to give that window of data to the merchants and then allow them to decide, do I want to reward more than one affiliate if there's more than one in the click stream? And so our point is that you can't really say that we want to engage content sites and not allow a way to reward them in the process. And so we don't think it's as simple as just paying one coupon site maybe perhaps less and content sites more. We're kind of getting into a little bit more complex solution on the commission splitting side at AvantLink.
Gotcha. And is that the merchant drives that, the advertiser drives how that's split, or you guys have it already defined?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the system is designed that the merchant can decide. And generally, we allow merchants to divide up into 3 splits, and one of which is dynamic. So it allows, if there's only one affiliate in the click, then of course they can get 100% of the commission. Make sense?
Definitely, yeah. Okay. Brian, when many advertisers talk to us, and they're talking about multi-channel attributions. Or they talk about attribution, they're talking about across channels, not just in the channel. In this, at Coldwater Creek, we had an initiative we called Lumberjack. So we took that order and chopped it up between all the different channels that were affected by it, and there were some pros and cons with that. Do you think looking at it, we as an industry need to look at this attribution across channels? Do you think it's the technology's responsibility to provide attribution, or do you think we just need to focus across different affiliates that are touching the customer and their path to purchase?
Sure. I mean, looking at data is always interesting and fun for data geeks like us up here. I think that's interesting, but there is a concern, I think, at looking at too much, specifically for the affiliate channel, remembering that an affiliate or publisher is only being paid on a conversion event. They're not part of the mix of the greater, I'm being paid on clicks, maybe I'm an internal person being paid a salary, all these kinds of things. You're dealing with an affiliate who's only being paid on this conversion event. And so you have to be careful to make sure that those conversion events are possible, for one. If you're talking about the content sites that Scott was just talking about, if you're going out and researching and here at Affiliate Summit and saying, like, I want to get a few more of these content sites, and you find one at your booth and you're talking to them and you explain your whole attribution model of all your channels, I think you're going to run into a problem in terms of recruiting that person in. I'm a big fan of attribution inside of the affiliate channel to solve very, very specific problems. If you have a specific type of content affiliate, specific protected class of affiliate that you want to make sure is always commissioned in the way that you want them to be, if you need them to be on some kind of a protected click or first click or any of those kinds of models, I'm a big fan of those types of things. But I do think it's a concern to lump someone being paid on a conversion into this giant attribution model across streams. It doesn't mean that the data is not interesting nor valuable, but it's something that I try to caution retailers about a little bit from time to time.
So, Impact Radius does have an attribution solution in addition to our Partner Manager product. It's called Media Manager, and so we have clients that do track all channels. They even track multiple affiliate networks, but they are able to view the interaction and then model it. You're basically modeling the revenue contribution, right? The spend stays the same. So that doesn't really change crediting rules. When you think of attribution, that's just looking at your data from a different perspective. So really what attribution does is help you understand how different channels work together, how different affiliates work together. So from an affiliate manager's point of view, an interesting perspective would be, I really value this specific content site's role in the conversion path. When they don't win, who typically wins? And when they do win, who's typically involved, either from an affiliate perspective or other channels? So having those insights helps you understand how they're impacted, to what degree, and the role that they're playing, in interacting with the consumer to get them to buy from you. So I think it's a good data point to have. Different advertisers go about attribution modeling different. They might have multiple models, but that doesn't really change if you're crediting on last click or on first click or something in between. The point of conversion doesn't change the crediting logic. The attribution is done after. It's just modeling. It's just looking at data. So just make sure everybody understands that.
Yeah, I think what you hear up here are all really intelligent sort of views, lenses on the entire attribution issue, and ultimately attribution, multi-channel, or purely inside the affiliate channel. This is data that matters. It absolutely is something we should all be looking at in determining ROI and determining incrementality, and ultimately where we should invest our media dollars. But if you look, and we've worked at Pepperjam with many, many multi-channel attribution providers, and there's a lack of consistency across the board in what we've seen on outcomes, ultimately because not everybody views what incrementality means. Not everyone views what success of a certain media channel required, or ROIs, KPIs. It's so across the board from the perspective of how individual merchants, advertisers view what success is. And I think that's where sort of a convergence of three really primary impacting tools come in, and that's one, the data. And we all know everyone's drowning in data. Having all these data points is critical, but what you do with the data is ultimately what's going to impact your business. So tools that make that data actionable, critical. Ultimately, even having those tools and that data is pretty useless unless you have the expertise and the strategy to be able to put those two together to really impact your business. So Pepperjam's philosophy is to bring those things together, and ultimately the data, the tools to act on the data, and the intelligence and strategic expertise to make it all packaged up and provide the ROI that an advertiser is looking for. But I think what we have to remember is that every advertiser is not made the same. They all value different things in their customer chain differently. They all see success differently, and their KPIs are all different. So providing that flexibility, transparency, and then bringing the expertise, data, and tools together, I think that's where the real magic can happen.
Do you see a lot of advertisers not knowing what they're looking for in attribution and expecting it to solve a problem that they're not quite sure what their strategy is?
We do. I mean, I don't want to hog the microphone, but it happens every day. I mean, no one, very, very, very few times do we see both, whether it's experts inside of a business or verticals or just advertiser to advertiser. We always see nuances that make how they view attribution, multi-channel, or inside the affiliate channel itself differently. I mean, there's just a whole different set of values.
I was going to say, we many times talk about the technology we as an affiliate industry need to create, and we're, I think, ahead of the curve in most other online marketing technologies or channels, because you talk to merchants and you bring up attribution, some of them never heard of what the concept is, because even though they have SEM and they're doing other types of promotions, they don't really understand what we're trying to bring to them and how important it is. So we do that internally in affiliate marketing, but they don't necessarily even think about doing it with all of their channels.
Yeah.
So we run into people who are using Google Tag Manager as their way of deciding who they're going to call. It's an affiliate network, or is I'm going to give my credit to my SEM team. But guess what? It's all last click model. So there's no attribution there. I mean, they picked one, and Google had picked it for you. It's last click is all they can do, and so that's what they use. So we have to fight with that. We can do what we can do when we get called. Or in cases if we have the data beyond that, we can help them out. But for the most part, they're not. The industry as a whole is not thinking about that.
Yeah. Cool. Ernie, in a blog.
Jamie.
Go ahead, Scott.
So I was just going to add, one thing that we see at AvantLink sometimes from merchants is they also want to use our product to deduplicate between channels, meaning that if affiliate is in the clickstream and then maybe email or some other paid channel is in the mix, that they want to deduplicate that. And so we're preferring to look at it more on what we call a shared attribution model when that happens, because the technology does allow you to track the other channels in our system and provide that in the reporting interface for you. But we would just prefer being an affiliate network and providing resources to affiliates to not encourage other channels to deduplicate the affiliate side. And so we'd rather see that split between channels, and we provide the technology to do that.
It seems to be one way at sometimes, not to whine about, whoa,
Yeah.
it's the affiliate channel, but what I've seen is to dedupe out of the channel, of the affiliate channel, but not out of the others, to lower the cost of a commission, but not to necessarily see what's going on. And even our project at Coldwater Creek, we lost the revenue, but we never shared the cost on that order. So you guys, there's a bunch of heads nodding, so you guys agree too. So Ernie, in a blog published, kind of want to talk about the affiliate side of this too. We're talking a lot about advertisers. You mentioned this is, you talk about fair-mindedness is an essential reason for wanting to attribute across different affiliates. So what does that mean? How does it affect both parties? And how does your attribution technology work?
Well, so one of the things, actually, my business partner, Chutes, also wrote an article kind of dealing with the same thing, fair-mindedness. And we have a lot of merchants that come to us, and just talking about the affiliate channel now, where a coupon site, coupon cart sniping, I think you're going to get into that in more detail. That becomes a problem because, a cookie gets set only when a coupon gets put into the shopping cart. So we have a technology that we call shopping cart window, which measures when someone enters the cart. So we can allow some crediting for an affiliate based upon whether they were in the cart or outside the cart. But what we found out is that if you just say all coupon guys are going to get 10% of what everyone else gets, that's a little unfair because 45% of the time they are actually promoting somebody to get you into the cart. So what happens if you give them 10% across the board, you're kind of cutting the amount of commissions they rightfully deserved outside the cart. So we give them flexibility. So we always try to develop technologies that maintain a fairness and a balance between the affiliates and the merchants, because we consider our customers to be both, not just the merchants.
So how have affiliates reacted to some of this? Because when I talk to them, they're very wary of commission splitting. They're not as active in wanting this to happen that I've noticed as advertisers.
Well, I mean, what we've tried to do is try to not lump everybody together. So we even allow for a coupon affiliate to be split out, to be like their own person, their own name, and be rewarded that way. But when we look at a commission type, we don't want a merchant to be able to just treat somebody and throw the baby out with the bathwater. We want everybody to be treated fairly, and to give them. Now, do they always use that kind of technology that we provide? No, it's not always used even-handedly. We try as much as we can to get that to happen, but it's really up to the merchant in the end to do what they want to do with the tools we give them.
They're paying the bills, right? Brian?
Yeah, I mean, I talked to a lot of publishers about this. Obviously, the ideas of commission splitting and things can be a little bit nerve-wracking for them, but I do think overall it's helped a lot of them stay in some programs. Otherwise, there would have been some panic buttons hit, some publishers being kicked out of programs, things along those lines. A lot of these tools can really be used to help those publishers as much as hurt them. The possible exception, the cashback model is obviously very difficult when you have splitting that's not known and they don't know exactly what's going to be given back. But again, clear rules can help this and make it a little more doable for that affiliate. But in general, I think a lot of these tools have helped the channel and helped publishers stay in programs and stay active and keep earning, whereas they may have been tossed out otherwise.
Yeah, no, when we first started to do the research, my biggest fear was I'd find out that what the detractors were saying was right. And then I thought, I want to find that out. I don't want to do this. I don't want to be in this channel if it's really not adding value. And every single time we've looked at it for our clients and used technology that all of you have, it's always proved out that it's valid, they're incremental, we're getting ROI that the advertiser wants. It always proves its value.
I want to add something about that, because people talk about this being fair to the affiliate, and I think if you have multiple affiliates in a click stream, a lot of advertisers think, well, maybe all those affiliates won't keep working with me if they're not earning a commission every time or as often as they should, or it just seems like a fair thing to do, right? Let's just let everybody earn a little money. But at the end of the day, if you're an affiliate manager, that's not your goal. Your goal is not to redistribute spend, right? That's not. No manager is telling you that. What they're telling you is to grow the channel. And the advertisers I've talked to and the data I've looked at, I have not seen strong enough evidence to show that the channel revenue grows from affiliates upstream that are being included in the program in a split commission scenario. I don't think that you're seeing dramatic growth. I think some of the smaller programs can see that because they have fewer affiliates, and 10 sales in a day versus 20 sales in a day.
So do you mean by splitting it and giving the
so I have a sale, and I have a last click affiliate, and I have a second to the last click affiliate. So now I've given them a little something as well, but I got the sale. And then if that affiliate were to drop out, the argument is, well, now the consumer journey gets broken and maybe I lose revenue. I've not seen evidence that way, and I've not seen evidence that by splitting commissions, the goals I have as an affiliate manager is to grow revenue, improve return on ad spend, acquire more new customers, improve margin. Those are all the things my boss is telling me to do, right? He's not telling me to take the money you're spending and smear it around.
So
And I'm not saying I 100% hate or disagree with commission splitting. I'm just saying I don't believe that it is a silver bullet to the affiliate program's success.
Well, certainly if you just said, for now in my program, I'm not paying one commission, I'm going to split it every time, and it's going to be 1 and 2, I totally agree with you. I mean, you're just spreading it around at that point. But commission splitting, I think, in terms of the grander scope, is looking at who those two people are. What is happening? Is this always the last click? Is it always something from one of my specific areas, whether that's coupon or cashback? And is this first person always from something regarding content? That's never going to be the case. But in that simplistic world, you could come up with a split scenario that would actually improve all those things, would increase sales and things. But just simply saying I'm going to pay, instead of paying last click now, I'm going to pay last and second to last and third to last, that doesn't make any sense. You need the context of who those people are.
Now that I agree with. I think when you look at most programs, you will probably identify 5 affiliates that are impacted by 3 or 4 affiliates that tend to win strongly on last click when they're involved, and that if you could create rules there to support those 5. But I think, again, a one-size-fits-all or a broader commission splitting without understanding which affiliates should and shouldn't get commission splitting is going to not solve any problems.
So I think one of the assumptions is when you reward someone at the top end of the funnel that was never getting awarded before with a commission, that's going to incentivize them. Now they know, there's an ROI on what they're doing, and they're going to do more of that. But what you're saying is that's not necessarily panned out in the data.
Well, if you look at your paycheck today and you realize you're being paid more, and then you look back at all your paychecks and you found out you got a raise 3 months ago, you weren't working harder for that paycheck. But if I talk to you and say, I'm going to give you a raise and I need you to step it up, Jamie, I need you to do this and this and this, and that's why I'm giving you the raise, you're going to work harder for me. So suddenly getting split commissions, what am I doing differently? The other thing people don't realize is if the more affiliates included in splitting commission, the greater the incentive is for me as an affiliate to get a click on someone's browser. Because now the chances of getting a commission for doing nothing goes up. Because I don't have to be last click. I can just be in the click stream somewhere. So you have to be careful with how you apply commission splitting.
I think another thing, I think you brought this up earlier, that the spending's the same. So if you're paying $2,000, but you're splitting it differently, you're still paying $2,000. And so now you've decided that some less winners and losers. Less, you don't have you have people who are doing really well who now you're splitting commissions for. Their EPC has gone way down. They may just leave your program entirely because you're not the only insurance merchant in town, and the other guy's not splitting commissions. And I can get X from him. My EPC for him is higher. So you may actually lose some good affiliates because you're splitting commissions.
Yeah, there's a part of the affiliate channel that isn't in the others, and that's the relationship. And
right.
You have to compete, not just...
it's not just you and that affiliate.
Yeah.
He's not just loyal to you entirely and just doing things for you.
Interesting.
So I think what we're hearing, and we've heard it since this panel discussion started here, was it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many variables in an affiliate marketing program. What are the mix of publishers? How many content publishers? How many coupon and loyalty publishers are in this mix? What are you selling? What are your margins? What is your philosophy on growth? Et cetera, et cetera. And I think it all comes back. I think everyone's ultimately here discussing the same sort of trajectory for the industry, and that's one of customization, one of sort of program personalization through tools and data that allow the values applied to not only the affiliate channel, but all of your digital channels by a particular advertiser to play out. And ultimately, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Commission sharing may work effectively, incredibly, for a certain group of advertisers with a certain publisher mix. In other cases, it may be an absolute disaster. So that's where the convergence of sort of the expertise, the tools, and the data come together to help find the solution that works for you.
So let's talk about some of the tools. You guys have dynamic commissioning that offers a whole bunch of different levels of flexibility. So can you share what's available to the advertisers, what the affiliates would see?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use the word dynamic really to speak to the options, to this idea that it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. We want to provide as many variables as possible for for a particular merchant to ultimately find the ROI and the incrementality they're looking for in their program. I think to Todd's point, they're looking for, in almost all cases, affiliate managers are looking to grow their program profitably. I mean, that is something we can usually depend on. In order to get there, things like dynamic commissioning allow, regardless of vertical, regardless of sort of marketing philosophy, allow the tools to be present there, the options to be present, and if you're working with us or another professional, the expertise to help guide you through how to utilize those tools. Dynamic commissioning, partnered with our dynamic attribution suite, is all about flexibility and options. And it's all about driving toward the personalization of your program. And that ultimately, I think, is the holy grail. And it's hard to...
I just did that. Sorry.
I like that.
That was me.
Yeah, go ahead and grab that. Go ahead and grab that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so that's where we see the power of sort of the dynamic nature of our technology. And I know many of the other networks up here, or non-networks, are ultimately here to help provide real value for their advertisers, and doing it through choice, through dynamic flexibility and transparency. I mean, to me, it's almost table stakes at this point.
I think an easier way to say it, at least from our perspective, is that there's things that advertisers value more in a transaction, and they're willing to pay more for that. And there's things that they have to value less because of their business model, and they have to be able to pay less. The days of 5% a sale's a sale, and if you drive $100,000 in sales, I'll increase your commission automatically to 8%, are gone, right? It's not about just pure revenue. There's so many nuances that an advertiser values. Was it a returning or a new customer? Was a coupon used or not? Which SKUs or categories were in there, and what are my margins on those? So the ability to, again, customize the program, not just at the channel level, but at the partner level, or types of partners, to be able to pay on what you pay more for what you value most, so that you're driving the most value into the channel versus just focusing solely on revenue. I think that's probably what most of the tools up here are trying to provide. And if we went through and told you every single way you could do it, this panel would not get.
They said we have 4 hours for this.
Oh, we have 4 hours. Okay, well, let me start.
Everyone okay with that?
Yeah.
Scott, did you have something you wanted to add?
Sure. Yeah, Jamie, it's one of the distinctions that we actually make. As I mentioned, that we've seen quite a bit of a content renaissance, as I like to put it. And one of the reasons that we see that is because when you work with those kind of affiliates, they have a lot of really great niche audiences that are hard to find through just a general coupon type of site. And so a lot of new customers are reached in that way. And so that's why we've put such a level of importance really diving into the idea of commission splitting and rewarding them for the hard work that they do. So we found that really important, and that's why we track new customer activity in our reporting as well. So that way, it also gives even coupon sites a chance to show their value. You know, there are a lot of coupon sites that drive a lot of new customers, and so it's important in our mind not to just lump them in a tag group and say, well, we're just going to pay coupon sites a lower rate.
Totally emotional decision sometimes. Right?
Yeah, for the privilege of promoting our product line. It gives them a chance to actually do things that'll push them up in the funnel and be able to make more than just a baseline, no value commission rate. So that's important to remember too. It does positively impact the coupon sites as well.
And it's important for them to also know where they're at in the customer's path too, right? And so do they see that data as well?
Yeah, they can see that in the reporting as well.
Okay.
Just to jump on that really quick, something interesting. So we did a multi-week study with one of the top coupon publishers out there, and I think the assumptions that are made go both ways. You know, content publishers are providing real meaty value, but they're never in the last click position, and coupon affiliates are doing cart sniping and nothing else, and that is absolutely not the case. So when we looked at it under the covers, it was very, very surprising and enlightening to look at just how many new customers were being driven through certain high-profile coupon sites, and vice versa. So I would be careful about sort of the inherent biases that are created through these general discussions, because it's not always the case.
Yeah, and we've encouraged our clients to strip away the emotional tag that they have with a category of affiliates, and know what your goals are, know what you're looking for, and then evaluate them without the name of what, coupon, loyalty, what have you, and see if you're actually getting it. And we've not seen a general case where their worries were confirmed 100%. So Brian, you guys have something called conversion lines. You introduced that to us in Seattle. Can you briefly share what that is? And then I think we also talked about you can get very complex with it, and that may be something that advertisers tend to go to, and that may be a mistake in how you track that.
Yeah, and the complexity would take some of those 4 hours that we talked about in terms of the layering. But the conversion lines on ShareASale are the way that we're solving some of these problems. And it's an idea to basically create channels within the affiliate channel. So you're layering different affiliate classes on top of each other, prioritizing certain things as you would like to do. Possibly it's content and coupon, but possibly it's just really non-traditional affiliates or protected classes of people that you have, influencers, things that are maybe not involved in the whole traditional last click model. And in order to even sell the idea of participating in the affiliate channel to one of your non-traditional affiliates or your bloggers or your influencer, whoever, you want to protect them on a layer above maybe your affiliate channel, or perhaps below if that's what you want to do. Conversion lines also includes the ability to commission split. Most commonly, we see that more in the very specific case of a coupon or loyalty site in the last click, getting a small portion or whatnot. That's what's commonly used there. But it does include that ability, and it does also include the ability to include an external channel. So you could do a multi-channel attribution with the conversion line if you wanted to, utilizing maybe your internal email channel, your PPC channel, whatever you wanted to do, and route through there. So again, it would take 4 hours, but it's very flexible, and that's just kind of been our approach. And it mirrors what's being set up here, trying to value what value what is more highly valued and pay more commission on that, and obviously pay less for things that you don't think are as valuable.
Awesome. Todd, do you want to talk about any specific technology Impact Radius has? Everyone's here has so far talked about specifics to their companies. Anything specific you want to share?
Well, I think when it comes to rewarding publishers for contributing to a conversion but not winning it, we take a slightly different approach. I think, when you think about splitting commissions, if the last click concern is a coupon or loyalty, a lot of times they're paid the least amount. So if you're splitting commissions on 2% and you're doing a 75-25%, you've got a content affiliate that normally gets 6 and they're getting 0.5%. It's kind of a bummer. It's not really that material. So what we see is, whatever your last click compensation and, what you're willing to pay for, what you value more, works fine. But then if there are specific partners that you want to give a contribution to based on the winning partners, in the simple case, I'm paying 2% to a coupon site, and then I have a content site that consistently is involved in that conversion, and I want to give them 2% as well, or whatever percent. So that's one way. Another even simpler way is to say to a content site, I value your traffic. I want to pay you 8% commission as I normally do, but I guarantee your traffic's worth 25 cents per click. So at the end of the month, that 8%, if the effective CPC was 22 cents, you would get a 3 cents per click bonus. So you're guaranteeing that their traffic, their contribution is rewarded without creating a lot of kind of a hot mess and a lot of rules, and trying to create, I guess, more complexity and do more work than might be justify in the outcome. But those are probably two of the simplest things. I will say that, you know, when I talked to a lot of advertisers and our sales team, when people want to do business with us, a lot of times they're really interested in features and functionality that we built. It's really, oh, that sounds amazing. Nobody else has that. We want that. That sounds great. That's why we're buying Impact Radius. And then they go through implementation and they launch. And a lot of times they don't adopt all those features. And, you know, the idea of commission splitting, I would say 90% of the time people don't end up doing anything or much around that. They like simple is better. So it's just interesting to see you know, how people get very excited about features and functionality, but they don't always leverage them.
I want to piggyback on that. One of the things we found when most merchants will work in multiple networks, so they're in our network, they're in Impact Radius's platform, they're wherever, but so the problem becomes is it's the least common denominator. We may offer some great technology that if they were just in our network they could use, like make a coupon, but if they're now in multiple networks they can't. So they've got to the outside world offer the same technology. So they are limited and can't use some of the technologies we developed because of that fact.
So this wasn't a question I prepared, but it's kind of coming to mind when we're talking about attribution. Is it a straw man? Is it a problem we're all solving that's not as big of a problem that advertisers think?
Well, that's where I get to data, right? I mean, we don't know what your problems are, right? You have to know. And data is not always easy to ingest and understand. You know, that's why I think having the flexibility to look at data from lots of different perspectives, you look at the data from this side, look at it from that side, you start to understand what seems to be working and what's not, where there might be something that you want to address. And then when you go to put a plan together, you have to have a plan to measure the outcome, right? So that if you can't measure the outcome, you shouldn't probably test it, because how do you know if it works?
I mean, I would say to that we're definitely not solving a problem that doesn't exist, because it certainly exists on the affiliate side. That was why AvantLink over 6 years ago came up with a solution that we did, because we had affiliates complaining that, hey, I know I'm sending traffic and I know that it's not converting and I want to know why. And so we started to dive in and got a better understanding of what was happening and designed a very elaborate system to solve that. So I think it's definitely added positively to affiliates' whole experience, and we're really proud of that.
Yeah, I don't think it's a straw man either, but I do think that taking maybe the simplest approach is oftentimes the best. If you look at your program and you can identify very simple things to do with regard to protecting certain people or working with others on the last click, all those kind of things, you have to find a very simple solution. The further you get into this, and I think probably why some of the features and tools aren't necessarily used, or the commission splitting isn't done all the time, and that it becomes impossible for the retailer to understand, much less the affiliate publisher that you're trying to recruit into your program. So definitely not a straw man. There's a lot of solutions that have solved a lot of big problems. But taking a step back, take it a little simple to start at least, I think would be a good approach.
Do you experience what Todd said, features and benefits, or those tools are
100%.
important, and then no one...
But it's not necessarily the same tool over and over again. So, there's 100 tools in here, and there's one's not being used every time, all that kind of stuff. But they are very important tools that are solving problems for very specific retailers and or publishers. So, it's not like the tools are going to go away. They need to be there. But you don't need to use all 100 of them or 1,000 or whatever they are.
Yeah, and I think ultimately you see this across all. We've gone through a decade of sort of the rise of platforms and et cetera, and they've gotten complex to the point where the folks that are able to extract the value from these platforms, whether it's in the affiliate arena or otherwise, they've become a more specialized group of people. So ultimately, I need to ask the question in all these cases is, who's ultimately driving your program strategy? Who's driving your channel strategy? If it's, that's a critical component, ultimately, of knowing, how to use the tools and how to take the data and apply the tools to the data and ultimately create value growth, based on the ROI and the KPIs that your business demands. It's a very important question, and I think all the different approaches out there and sort of the textured landscape we have of whether you utilize OPMs, do it in-house, work with the network, et cetera, all of these different solutions ultimately bring different challenges to the table.
Here's one thing, we have a ton of features that can just as easily ruin an affiliate program as make it better, right? Depending on how you use it. You can go, what's this button do?
With power
so instead of focusing on features, what I really advocate for is business imperatives. This is something we worry about or we need to accomplish in our affiliate program. These are our business imperatives. Now, what data and features match those business imperatives that I should evaluate and consider? Because there might be 5 ways to do something or 2 ways to do something. What are the pros and cons? Maybe equal. But the idea of getting fixated on a shiny feature or hearing somebody talk about what they did with their program and you want to maybe try that as well, it's really more about saying, these are our business imperatives. Please, Mr. Technology Provider, help me understand what features and data can help me with my business imperative. That's a much saner approach
sounds wonderful.
to doing things. You just want to be careful because, like I said, we have a lot of features, and you turn the knob to the left, and you don't get what you can have problems.
At least in our case, we've developed a lot of our features because of that person who has come to us and said, this is the way I want to run things. And so we develop something and make it available to everybody else, but to everybody's point here, it's not one size fits all. So while we build something, we may find another guy in another year that might use that technology.
But we get a lot of bad ideas from our customers and from our employees. Not necessarily bad ideas, but the way they want to do it, once we think it through, we come up with a better way of doing it, or we agree that it's a bad idea. So, customers want to do things, and sometimes I've even had a customer who wanted to do something, and I thought it was the dumbest thing ever. I thought they're going to be the only one that wants to do it. This is just, I've never heard a worse idea, and it's going to take a lot of our resources to develop it. Some reason we did. And it's actually a really good feature, and everybody loves it, and it's working really well. But so I'm not, always the best judge of the value of everything. But, again, it's about trying to solve the business imperative and not just, we want a little thing that we can click on here, and that'll be really cool.
Awesome. Any final thoughts before we open it to our audience?
Well, we talked a lot about attribution and commission splitting and there's so many other things that affiliate networks are getting really good at, and those would be tracking new customers, other really specific tracking parameters about the transactions and those type of things that are really exciting. And so although we've got a lot to talk about in this arena, there's a lot of other things that we can talk about as well. So we're excited about that. One thing I would like to add, though, is that the merchants that we're engaged with on the advertiser side, most of them are asking for more of us, not less of us, which is kind of counterintuitive to the non-network approach that we're hearing in terms of just being a tracking software. So they want more input, they want more strategy, they want more services, they want a lot more of our expertise. So, we're excited about that.
Awesome. Well, thank you, guys. Any questions? What hasn't been answered? What would you like to know? Just raise your hand and belt it out. I'll repeat it for the camera, and then you can direct it to the group or someone individually. So, any questions?
There was a recent study that said about 80 to 90% of the digital marketing spend outside of China is to Google and Facebook. What can affiliate marketing do to get more of the pie and take more out of Google?
Okay. Great question. So the question was, report came out, 80-90% of advertising spend or was in Google and Facebook. So how can the affiliate program compete in that area? How can the affiliate industry pull away from that?
Well, how much you spend in a channel isn't maybe indicative of the value you get out of it, but email marketing, CRM doesn't have any spend associated with it. So I think maybe that's just an easy way for people are getting in that market. I see a lot of affiliate marketing in JPAC, APAC area going on. It seems to be growing, and so I'm not sure. I didn't see the study, so I don't know what the context of that is.
And I think another thing to consider is some of those numbers, Google and Facebook numbers, are affiliate numbers as well, because people are promoting through those channels.
Great point.
Well, but it's probably talking about the advertiser spend, so
Maybe so. Yeah.
I don't think that's Google and Facebook reporting.
Great. Next.
Any other questions?
Anything else?
Come on, you guys are all the smart people in the room. We want to hear what you think, not what we think. Disagree with us, whatever.
Throw something.
No? Should we continue?
There we go. All right.
Yeah.
One more.
So obviously, we've got a selection of frameworks on the panel. On the last conversation about clients wanting more strategy, more insight, more sort of data, or more analysis of data. A lot of that, I guess, relies on investing more on resources from the client side to maximise opportunity with available. What advice would you give to an advertiser who wants more input or more strategy for growing their program? What advice would you give to them?
I mean, I'll answer it from sort of Pepperjam's point of view.
I think we got to repeat it because they want.
Well, right.
What advice would you give to an advertiser who wants more input on strategy?
Or data.
Or data.
Or data.
Thank you.
So I'll give you the point of view from Pepperjam, and that's not always consistent. I mean, there's quite a few different approaches to this. We are at Pepperjam as much a services business as we are a technology company. And I think in the past that has maybe made some people cringe. Certainly investors don't look at those types of models the same way. But when here in 2017, we see that as sort of a badge of honor in a big way. Keeping sort of the services and the technology under one roof from our perspective is a big advantage for advertisers moving forward. No one knows how to extract the value from the tools and the data that we discussed here today more than the experts at Pepperjam that work on those tools every day do. So having all of that under one roof from our perspective puts the advertiser in the best position to apply a working strategy to their program. And then take sort of the customized principles of value that drive that advertiser's business forward and put them to work with sort of a connected group of data analysts and executors and technologists all working together to make your program the best it can be. So that's certainly the approach that we would take at Pepperjam.
Back to my business imperative things. We want to understand our clients' business imperatives. So what's important to them? What are their KPIs? What are the metrics? What are the goals that they have for the month, quarter, year? And then we want to align the technology and the data to help with that. Right? That's the first and foremost. And then when there's questions about the data or questions about how things are working, making sure that our clients understand the options. Because again, we have way more features. It's even hard for our company, people that work on our company, to know everything our platform can do because there's so many features. Our velocity of development is so high that it can overwhelm people. And I've had companies say, well, if you could do this and this and this, that would be great. And it's like, that's like the three things that we do all the time. And it makes me mad that they don't know that because I think that's our job. So it's really just about making sure there's good communication and understanding there and align and get everything aligned, I think is the first primary thing that you want to do.
Yeah, I'd add one thing, and that's from an advice perspective, to find a peer group, find someone you can talk to that's not us, so to speak. You will get a lot of advice, good advice from your network, from your service provider, possibly from your agency that you're working with, but find a peer group that you can bounce some ideas off of, because some of this stuff is pretty complicated, and as mentioned, not everybody has tried every piece of technology that's available out there, but if you can find a peer group where people have maybe seen some results that are not just from the studies and whatnot, but seen some actual kind of real-world results, I think that can really help in shaping what you need to do.
Awesome. Scott, did you have one final thing? We're right at time. So.
Yeah. So I think I might have sparked that comment, and what we're looking at is trying to develop a customized strategy for each advertiser. And so, for example, it may make across the board sense for a merchant to employ some type of loyalty site into their program, but oftentimes that strategy doesn't work because of internal conflicts. What if that merchant has their own loyalty program or a credit card loyalty program or something that conflicts? And so how do we strategize around that? And those kind of custom things with each individual advertiser are important. And they also extend down to the service level too, where what kind of services do you need to sustain this program? Do you need basic services like help with creatives and just affiliate recruitment and all those kind of things that take a lot of time but are very worthwhile? So strategizing around each individual merchant is really important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One final question.
Yes, I'm speaking from an advertiser's perspective. Is this something that you would encourage, for an advertiser to work with multiple affiliate networks? Because the way I look at it, I don't have very strong e-commerce experience, but looking at it from running a business perspective, I see affiliate network as my sales channel. So from my perspective, of course, I would like to have more sales network, a very extensive sales network, working for me simultaneously. But here you are talking about attribution, how to reward the right channel or publisher or affiliate. Is that something you would encourage, working with multiple affiliate network simultaneously?
Yeah. Do you want to repeat it? You want to repeat?
Do you encourage working with multiple networks? And I see we're at time, but let's simultaneously multiple networks.
Well, my perspective quickly is it's about prioritization. You're going to get most of your value from your primary network partner. As long as you feel like that's been maximized, you spent the right amount of attention putting that together, making sure it's firing on all cylinders before you sort of move to see whether your particular situation would support opening up other channels because there's unique distribution on another channel you may want to access. I would say it's all about prioritization. So I would really make sure you feel that that primary network partner is where you want it before you start thinking about a second or third network.
Yeah. And resources. I mean, it's hard enough to manage one program well. Can you manage 2, 3, 4 well?
Yeah. So it gets complicated. More networks you add. So.
But I would always have that. How do I know which one would be my high priority partner until I've started the conversation?
Right here.
Yeah.
So I think that if I were going to argue this point, I think it's less important to focus on if you are going to decide to do multiple networks to less important on the actual number of networks versus who is on there. If you start mixing up, for example, your coupon channel onto multiple different networks, you're going to lose a lot of the benefits of some of the tools that are up here. It's going to get really confusing really fast. However, if you are able to focus a channel or a type of publisher on a network and you want to put all your coupon here and you feel like there's a network that's going to provide something else to you, I could see some benefit in that. But just blanket multiple networks, I think, becomes very difficult from a resources perspective. The publishers will figure it out and will try to kind of game you on the different platforms. Compliance becomes an issue. There's a whole bunch of stuff there, but there are good positives to doing it if you find a real reason to say, hey, this one provides this one provides that.
International markets also would be another, you might have a better network in one net, but if you're doing only U.S., you might only need one.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.